Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Wednesday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well, feeling well out there, and having a fantastic start to your day. I know I'm feeling much better. Finally was able to get back in routine today. Well, this morning, beat the alarm clock, got up at the time that I like to get up at, which is about 4 a.m. And more times than not, I do beat the alarm clock, but so many things to do in the mornings. Quiet time is just a beautiful thing. If you don't allow yourself some quiet time at least a few times a week, then I definitely recommend it. And then it's hard because you got to get up early, especially if you got kids. You kind of have to beat everybody else to the punch as far as getting up early, but it does wonders. It does wonders. But anyways, we're here to talk about weather. We're going to figure it out today. Today's not going to be a very active day, a quiet before the storm, if you will, quiet literally. So we'll break down today, then we'll give you some new information from the Storm Prediction Center for the storm system coming. Friday is going to be a very active day, a very large enhanced risk that will surely most likely get upgraded to a moderate risk for maybe two areas or maybe just one area, but we'll certainly figure that out for you folks and continue to get you guys detailed videos on what's to come here in the next 48 hours leading up to the event. So if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And of course, if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. If you guys got anything that that you want to discuss, talk about, it doesn't have to be weather related. Reach out to me. If you're struggling through something, I'm all ears for it, guys. I'm just certainly here to help you guys in more ways than just weather, and just utilizing the platform to be a listening ear. And a lot of people don't have people in their lives just to listen to them. So I just want to let you guys know I'm always open for that, and I feel like we need that in this world, especially the young people. So with that being said, let's get rolling with the weather. Water vapor loop. Well, the weather. I meant weather. There we go. Water vapor loop. We see that spin off the coast of the western U.S. This is already bringing some weather for that western portion of the country. This will continue to dive down, swing in, and this upper trough will eject across the middle of the country. Surface low will develop, strengthen, and as it strengthens, we will have a dynamic storm system that flies across this portion of the country. And north of it, the cold side will have snow, most, and potentially some heavy snow, and we'll talk about that when we know more. And then southeast, east of it, we'll have severe weather. So we got a lot of things to figure out, and here in the next, I would say, 24 hours, we will know a heck of a lot more on what's going to happen Friday. But we got the general picture on the stages and the ingredients set for severe weather coming up. Watches, warnings, advisories. Already a ton of winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings, watches. A lot of wind alerts, high wind warnings, watches. Red flag warnings where it's very dry in this portion of the country and there's strong winds expected with the storm system that's coming up, and we need some rain in these areas of the country. A lot of times this time of the year, this area kind of gets gypped with rain and does not get it when areas just to your east do get it. And a lot of times, even when you do get rain this time of the year in this portion of the country, a lot of times it comes in the form of storms and sometimes severe storms. But a few areas got some freeze warnings, freeze watches, where we're expecting a pretty chilly night across portions of the eastern U.S. Tonight. But I think a lot of people in the south will be saved from any kind of freezes, things like that. Let's break it down region to region for today. Not very active today. Some showers are finally drifting off the southeast mid-Atlantic coastline, and you will dry out today in southeast Virginia, eastern North Carolina. A little bit later today, where the front has just not completely cleared, you're going to have some storms that fire up in southern Florida. Everglades, maybe the Florida Keys, Miami could see some storms today. Is certainly possible. And then, some showers in Texas. We'll talk about that here in a second. But elsewhere, these storms will diminish, head off out into the Atlantic. And, the rest of the night's pretty chill. Not a whole lot going on in the southeast today. Much quieter day compared to the last several days. Northeast today. Now, there will be something we need to watch in the northeast today. In fact, if you haven't heard about it, which I have a feeling a lot of people haven't, this could catch a lot of people in the northeast off guard today. There's already a line of not storms, but almost a snow squall that is starting to develop in the Great Lakes region. This is going to move quickly over Michigan today, put a coating of snow probably on everything. And then as we're getting into this afternoon, move into portions of Canada and then back out of portions of Canada over Lake Erie, Ontario, and Lake Ontario. And this might be in the form of, some snow even in northern Ohio, even though it shows rain. This could fall snow. But this is going to be maybe a 1 to as much as 2 hour period of snow. For certain areas, it might last 30 minutes. But as we're getting into about 5 p.m., this begins to enter western New York State, enter areas of the southern tier, enter northwest Pennsylvania, places like Erie, Buffalo. It'll be snowing later this afternoon to this evening. This could fall hard and fast, and it could be almost like a squall of snow. So gusty winds will be accompanied with this. I would say it's actually broadened somewhat from looking at it 2 days ago when we were first seeing this. But this will be a hefty band of snow. Maybe a clap of thunder, maybe a flash of lightning with this. I would not be surprised. It's associated with a cold front that will cool you down for a day or so in the northeast and bring some cold weather. But we'll stop it here. This is around 8 p.m., give or take an hour. Snow is far south. Potentially it's snowing in Pittsburgh. Okay, State College, the southern tier, the Finger Lakes area. This is starting to move in the Catskill Mountains. Northern sections of New York State. This will move through, and then we'll get all the way to about 10 p.m. Starts to blast through State College, starts to head towards Albany, and then the valley areas, and then heads through the Poconos, just after 10, 11 p.m. And this will blast through Vermont, New Hampshire later in the evening, getting close to midnight. This will certainly be all snow up here. And then it'll make it all the way to southern New England, all the way to the Berkshires. It'll make it all the way into Connecticut, Western Mass for sure, and then eventually all the way to Rhode Island. And this could make it all the way also to New York City into the overnight hours. We'll see if it kind of maintains for Boston, but this would certainly maintain for the entire state of Maine and sweep through overnight. So this will be interesting, and then it'll keep trucking all the way into Nova Scotia and areas of Canada off to the northeast. So how much snow could you expect from this? Well, certain areas will see a dusting. Certain areas will see a quick inch, but it's going to be really hard to figure out who sees the most. But I can tell you, once you get into the southern tier of New York State, central New York State, and especially the higher hills and elevation, you will probably see a little bit more. Down here in Pennsylvania, not a whole lot, unless you're up in the Poconos where you might see half inch, inch and a half. Go up to New York, certainly could see a quick 1 to 2 inches, and this could coat everything very quickly. And you're probably going to see this coming. It'll probably be a nice day, and then all of a sudden, you'll see a very quick-moving area of clouds coming right towards you, and that is going to be the snow squall. Some of these higher peaks could certainly see a quick 1 to 2, maybe as much as 3 inches of snow. Even in, areas of southern New England. New England could definitely get, a half inch of snow, and it'll fall very quick, fast and furious. You go up to Maine, and certainly a couple inches of snow could happen and could fall in areas of central and northern Maine. And so kind of an interesting event today in the Northeast that I think will catch some people off guard. But snow squall will sweep basically through the entire Northeast today associated with a cold front. South central U.S., dealing with some rain showers. So basically the entire central and eastern half of Texas. They're very scattered and smothered out here. And, they might become more widespread down in Houston and the coastal regions of Texas. They would try to drift into areas of western Louisiana. But you'll kind of be dealing with some showery conditions throughout eastern Texas throughout the day. But not a widespread rain by any means. But with a moisture return beginning to bubble up, you're certainly going to get some dampness into this area as dew points rise and moisture in general rises all the way into tomorrow morning and after. Speaking, here's kind of the beginning stages of this little area of snow. It'll begin to intensify, might even nip Chicago. We'll move through areas in Milwaukee this morning. This will blast through the state of Michigan. We'll move through Detroit. Might be rain at first and then some snow. And then this could even affect areas of northern Indiana. And then this heads into the Northeast. Then the rest of the day, guys, pretty quiet all the way up until tomorrow morning. Not a whole lot going on. Temperatures today, as you can tell, chillier in the south where the cold front is finally cleared. Cooler, crisp air has made its way into the south. 60s for highs, some 70s also, even though it says 60s. Definitely 70s are possible too. Beautiful day. Staying warm and about, I like to call Florida, Texas, or Tennessee, and then I like to call Texas, Tennessee sometimes. So, I think you guys know what I mean. But Florida down here, 80s, and then some humidity remains where the cold front hasn't fully got into play yet. But, in the Northeast, you're probably going to be thinking for most of the day today, it's like, how in the world is it going to be cold enough for snow? But here you can actually see the frontal boundary moving through. In fact, you're around 49 degrees just southeast of Buffalo, right here, around 47, mid 40s in Binghamton. And then this excuse me, this snow squall moves through and you drop below freezing by the time you're at a 10 p.m. So the temperatures drop behind this. Okay, so it'll be kind of a moving air mass in the Great Lakes region where you might start the morning off maybe warmer than what you finish it in the afternoon. But boundary right here in Kansas and Missouri, a little cooler north, really cold into areas of Dakotas and Minnesota, well below freezing. But once you get into the south central U.S., a beautiful day expected. Severe weather begins tomorrow. Tomorrow won't be a big day, even if it gets upgraded to a slight risk. I don't expect tomorrow to be a big day at all. There's two areas, kind of a bimodal mode, if you will, if that makes sense, where you have two areas to watch. One up here where the surface low is beginning to crank up and move across the plains, and then one area down here where it's kind of thermodynamic driven. A lot of moisture is building, but not firmly built into the region. You're still lacking low-level moisture that hasn't fully got pulled up and created a massive warm sector yet. But we'll see if this upgrade, there will be a 2% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location in this area of Kansas, Oklahoma, and northern Texas. But the big threat comes Friday. This massive 30% risk has has turned and upgraded into an even larger enhanced risk that stretches almost all the way to the Arkansas, Louisiana state line, all the way almost to southern sections of Minnesota. Just depends on where this surface low goes. There will be some kind of triple point right into here. But basically in this entire enhanced region, you have a 30% risk to see severe weather within 25 miles in any given location in this red area. This is also a 30% hatched risk, which is normally the case for enhanced risk at day 3, which means you also have a 10% risk to see significant severe weather. That can be an EF2 tornado or stronger. That can be hail 2-inch diameter or larger, or that can be damaging winds pushing 65 knots or higher, which is 70 to 75 miles per hour in mile per hour readings. So it's coming, but just know that this will be sectioned off better in the coming day, next 24 to 48 hours. So it'll really zone in on certain areas, maybe 2 different areas, maybe an area up here, maybe an area down here. I would not be surprised one bit if we have 2 moderate risk areas issued. We'll see though, but I do think there's going to be 2 highlighted areas. And we talked about that last night. We'll talk about it again tonight. But really, kind of what's going on here, the story with this is you see this L right here on your map. That is the surface low popping off the upper trough. This ejects across the country. And at this point, it's already right here. You got a little bit of storm action developing. Remember, we're not in short-range model guidance, so we can't really see the true mode of these storms, but we got a good idea of what could potentially happen. But this begins to eject across the plains very slowly at first. And then when it begins to deepen somewhat, which means it's strengthening, which means this number is dropping, this means that it's probably going to pick up a little bit of speed. But as we're getting into Friday early afternoon, midday early afternoon, this is when storms begin to develop down in Arkansas, maybe southern Missouri, and then storms are already developing. And the closer you are to this low, the faster storm motion you have. This could be a quick moving storm mode, meaning you could have tornadoes moving at interstate speed out here. But this is beginning to deepen around Friday afternoon to a 982 millibar low pressure. You have severe storms ongoing down here, even though it just shows blobs of green and orange and yellow. Severe storms are ongoing down here. You have severe storms right here. And then these eventually all will turn into probably a line of storms that could be a squall line kind of feature, damaging wind threat that blasts through the mid-Atlantic, maybe definitely portions of the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, maybe even all the way down into northern portions of the deep south. And this continues. This is probably going to bring a lot of strong winds into areas of the Ohio Valley and then eventually the Northeast. And this could be a line of storms that continues to track over the southern Appalachian Mountains, and we'll see how much they hold together for the Southeast and Mid-Atlantic. But this is a significant event, and what we do know is the storm mode, they think, right now, we think, that it's going to take on a semi-supercellular mode at first. But I think that, especially near the low pressure, this will quickly go to more like a linear threat, meaning like a line of storms. Could stay more supercell in nature longer a little bit further south, but we'll see. Dew points, massive moist sector rises into Thursday, but really gets north as we get into Friday. And by the time we're into Friday afternoon, you got dew points into the 60s as far north as southeast Iowa. So there's a lot of low-level moisture, but it's more rich, meaning it's higher down here in Arkansas, maybe areas of Missouri, Tennessee, northern Mississippi. Okay. Next thing you can look at here is kinematics and the low levels, like a mile up in the atmosphere. You can see this on a day where you're expecting storms. You can look above your head and the clouds are moving 1,000 miles an hour, it seems. And but already Thursday afternoon, you have a pretty expansive wind field in the low levels. 30, 40, 45 knots. Miles per hour, 50, 55 miles per hour. We get into Friday morning. This broadens and gets stronger. So you have anywhere from a 60, 70 knot low level jet from Oklahoma all the way to Michigan. Very strong winds aloft. And they will be mixing to the surface. So it'll be very breezy regardless if it's storming or not. Here's the low pressure where the isobars are circled up. But then as we're getting into Friday afternoon, the low-level jet really gets cranking. And you got a 60, 70 knot low-level jet in areas right here where Arkansas, Missouri, southern Illinois, even getting into southern Indiana, western Kentucky, western Tennessee, and northern Mississippi all kind of combine right into here. And this is what I worry about Friday afternoon in this area. You have pretty much all the ingredients here for severe weather. It's just what storm mode will it take? But the low-level jet does nothing but really strengthen as we're getting into Friday evening. And regardless of the storm mode, which I think will be a line of storms sweeping through the Midwest and Ohio Valley right into here, you're going to have strong winds associated with any storms, even before the storms come. This is very strong winds, pushing 75, 80 miles per hour just above our heads in these regions that will mix to the surface. I'm not saying you're going to get widespread hurricane force winds at the surface, but I'm saying that it's possible in storms you can. But this continues, this massive low pressure. Anytime you see a low-level jet wrapping around the low pressure, you know that you got a strong storm system. But this will bring strong winds across almost the entire eastern U.S., even as we're getting into Saturday morning. So we'll continue to try to figure this out. We got a lot to figure out, and I can tell you, even after this storm, we have another one coming next week. Confidence continues to dramatically increase that there's going to be another strong storm system next week. So this isn't stopping anytime soon. Not trying to hype anything up. It's just spring, guys. And I will say this, about once every, several years, we get just a really bad severe weather season. Here in the Southeast and the South, we had especially the Southeast, we had a really bad one in 2020. But we'll see what happens with this. I'm going to do my job and keeping you guys prepared all the way up into the event. And then we'll see what happens. But that's all I got. I'll be with y'all this evening. Have a great and blessed Wednesday.